What is up? Honk, honk. Anyways, give it a minute and let some of you heifers hop on here. Hey guys, we're going to do a live story time. This one I've wanted to tell for a while. I'm literally going to be filming my comeback actual YouTube video that I'm going to edit and upload onto my channel. I want to upload it on Saturday, so I'm probably going to film it tonight. That way I have a couple days to edit it and make it real funny for you guys. But y'all, I have a story time. Now, what made me think of this story time is because I have moved to Morristown, Tennessee. I actually live in a really small town outside of Morristown that's called Morrisburg. Google it on a map. Literally go to your Google Maps after this story time and look up Morrisburg, Tennessee. And you will see how small this freaking town is. Like, look at pictures of it. There's literally nothing in this town. But it's surrounded by a lake. So seeing these lakes and boats and all this here lately has made me think of this story time. And of course, as most of my story times are, they are from when I was very heavily using drugs. And this is before things got really bad. This is when I was in my psychedelic drug phase. So before I even get started in this story time, as always, do not do drugs. Do not do drugs. Just don't do it. Quite literally, I wasted so much time of my lifespan because I was on drugs. Don't do that. And don't do psychedelics. I mean, well, let me take that back. Do some shrooms and smoke your weed if that's what you want to do. Do it in a safe environment with people that you trust, and do it as an adult. Don't do it as a child. However, I decided this one in particular weekend, me and a bunch of my friends that I was hanging out with at the time, I was probably 21-ish at the time, so I was still very young. And a friend of mine had said, hey, I got some sugar cubes. Now, at the time, I was still very naive and had no idea what that meant. I was like, sugar cubes, okay, what does that mean? And so he tells us it's got a drop of acid on it. I had never done acid at the time, and I was a very stupid 21-year-old Morgan who was very curious about drugs and was like, okay, sure. So me and about 6 of my friends decided to all do a sugar cube with a drop of acid on the sugar cubes. And this one in particular friend, he lived on the lake. He lived on Norris Lake, and is right outside of Halls, which is where I grew up. And his family had a boat. Now, he was always at home alone. I don't remember what his parents did or anything, but I just remember him always being home by himself. He had no siblings, and he was always home alone. All of our high school parties, for the better part, happened at his house. He just never had supervision, ever. So his family had a boat, and here we are, a bunch of 21-year-old kids. A couple of us were maybe 23 at the time, and we decided to get on this boat. Now, fun fact, okay? Very, very sad fact. If you've never done acid, don't do it, number one, because you just really don't know what is in that shit, number one. Number two, you can also literally go on a trip later in life and have no idea that that's going to happen. And number three, and probably what's going to be most important in this story, is that acid can sometimes take a really long time for you to feel the effects of it. So a lot of times, stupid people like myself and the other people involved in this story get impatient because they're not tripping, and they decide to drop another tab of acid. I got to pick up my mom's prescription at freaking Walmart pharmacy, so hold on a second, because I'm not going to tell this acid story in the drive-thru.
Hi, how are you picking up?
Yes, I need to pick up for Jennifer Birchfield.
What's the birthday?
8868.
It's $15.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 1 second. Could you imagine if I just continue telling this story in the freaking pharmacy drive-thru? Bitch, I'm dead.
I could refill any questions.
Sorry, y'all.
You have a good day.
You too, honey.
Thank you.
Okay. Sure, the pharmacist. There, y'all, I would only imagine what pharmacist here, like, for real. So anyways, like I said, if you've never dropped acid before, it, like, the effects of it sometimes can take a minute. So, like, you'll think, like, oh, I've gotten fucked, like, they've given me some shit that's not real, or some shit like, it's real. Like, it just takes time, bitch. You have to be patient, okay? We were not patient, so we decided to drop another sugar cube of acid. Then we all get so bored. At this point, probably 2 hours have passed by, and we still aren't feeling anything. So we all decide to get on a boat, on his parents' very, 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 very nice pontoon boat. Like, literally brand new, probably $50,000 pontoon boat, like, no lie. And there's like 10 of us. We get on the pontoon boat. It's like 11 o'clock at night, maybe later. Y'all, we're on this pontoon boat, and the wind starts to hit. And here's the thing, like, a certain something can really make acid, like, kick in for you, and you really start tripping. Like, the second time I done it, I was sitting on a, like, fuzzy rug. That always makes me think of the furry wall in that fucking movie, but I was sitting on, like, this shag carpet rug at my friend's house, and my hand brushed up against it a certain way, and bitch, that's when everything just, like, went into motion. So I feel like a brush of wind, like, hit my face a certain type of way, and bitch, I start tripping fucking balls. Now, everybody on the boat, it was almost like simultaneously. Why does that not sound like English? All of us at the same time start to trip at the same time. Like, it's like one after the other. We are tripping, like, full on balls, okay? And this is a fucking Saturday night in a small town in East Tennessee where there's not shit to do, and so there's a lot of people on the water at this late at night. Like, we bump into a bunch of our friends. They decide to drop a tab of acid. Like, it's now become a thing. Like, where, y'all, I just remember handing this girl a sugar cube of acid. She was a friend of mine, and she was, like, into some shit, like, into some wild shit, even way back then. And so she was, like, a seasoned pro, and so she was like, I was like, here, you might as well take two, because it took us like 2 hours and 15 minutes to feel this way. And she was like, bitch, no, it just takes some time. Like, your body just has to fully relax, and, like, you will start to experience it. She was like, please tell me you didn't take 2 tabs of acid. I said, we all did. Like, everybody here did. And something about that conversation with her made things worse. It like made my trip start to turn from like, oh, flowers in the trees, oh, you know, whatever. Like everything was like fine and like it was a good experience until she seemed concerned that I took 2 sugar cubes of acid. And then at that point, it went from a good trip to almost like everything, for me anyways, turned red. Now, everybody who was doing this was experiencing it different. But for me, the lake water turned red, the sky looked red, my friends' eyes, like looking in their eyes were red, like things started to go, and in my mind, I'm trying to tell myself, because like my biggest fear was going on a bad trip, because I don't know if I've told you guys the story time of a friend of mine who had did acid at a bonfire party. We had all done like smoked weed and drank and shit, but he decided to drop acid by himself, went on a bad trip, and was on that bad trip for like 5 days. I don't remember if he went into full psychosis, like crazy shit. So I don't remember if I've told that story or not. If not, I fucking need to. But anyways, that was like my biggest fear, and I think I had it in my mind so much while dropping the acid that I almost put myself into a full-on like bad trip. So I start panicking, and I run over to my best friend, we'll call her Brittany, and I'm like, Brittany, I am literally going through like a really bad trip right now. Like everything's red. Like I feel like everything's closing in on me. I feel like there's 2 black bars above my eyes and below it. Like I can only see this much space. Like fucking crazy. And everybody in my friend group would go to Brittany because she was like the mom of the friend group. Like she would baby you, she would hold your hair when you would puke, she would like clean up for you, like she would take care of you. Like everybody would feel safe being around Brittany when they were like drinking or whatever. And so she like sits me down Indian style on this boat and starts rubbing my hair, and like I remember her singing like Sweet Home Alabama to me. Like I don't know, but like something about the tone of her voice and like her rubbing her hands through my hair and shit, like really made me feel like everything's okay. Like everything's okay. It took like maybe 45 minutes of her doing that. And she told me later, like, bitch, I literally sang Sweet Home Alabama like 3 times in a row because I started to sing something else and you were like, no, sing Sweet Home Alabama. So, you know, don't do acid, but if you ever have a bad trip, like maybe be with somebody that's like kind and gentle and might sing Sweet Home Alabama to you. Or like maybe a really nostalgic, like good feeling song to you. I don't know. So everything goes fine for me the rest of the night. I mean, it was a really long trip. Like since I've done acid since then like 3 or 4 times. Most of you guys know this, some of you might not. I've been sober 7 years, but the last time I dropped acid was 6 years ago. Every trip that I had after that was a good experience, but it can't always, it's not always that way. But like the most important thing to take from this story is like, if you are going to do something as stupid as dropping acid, like be around people that you trust and you really fuck with, and that like you know aren't going to take like full on advantage of you, because the rest of this story like is because my of like full speed like knew of those people, but like we didn't know those people, you know what I'm saying? So the skies are blue, not red. Like bitch, fully. So we are all having a good time, whatever. We're sitting in the middle of the water, and one of my best guy friends, which shout out to him, we call him Mark in all of my story times. His real name is obviously not Mark, but you know who you are, Mark. what happened to him after he got on this boat is so messed up. Like, this isn't even part of the story. This is just like a side story. He ends up getting on this boat, you guys, getting beat up and robbed by these people. Beat up, and they took his wallet and his car keys, ended up going and getting his car from our friend's house before we had made it back, and stole his car. Yeah. Oh yeah, and that, like I said, that's just like a side note to this story. The main guts of this story is that we were tripping so bad at this point because we had done 2 sugar cubes of acid instead of 1, and this was all of our, for the better part, there was a couple of us who had done acid before, but for the better part, it was all of our first experience with acid. We're tripping, okay? And I remember the sun coming up, and do you guys remember in the show Teletubbies how there was that baby's face in the sun? I fully seen this child's face in that sun. Guys, I'm telling you. Anyways, I like fall in love with the sun, like have a conversation with the sun, like full on. All of my friends are tripping as well, so like nobody has a good head on their shoulders except for Brittany, right? So Brittany's like, we need to get the fuck back home. But like none of us know exactly where we are. Like as all of us are starting to come down, the sun is now fully up. It's probably like approaching 8 a.m. None of us know where we are in the lake. Like none of us. Y'all, we rode around that lake so lost, had no idea. We were like looking at houses. We're also on a come down from acid. We've also drank like fishes all night. We're all hung over. We need to go to bed, right? Like, we need to go the fuck to bed, bitch. And we're just not going to bed because we have to figure out where we are. Y'all, we rode around that lake until almost noon. And then Brittany, praise Jesus for Brittany, she seen one of the houses that was like very, very close to like our guy friend's house that we had like went to. She seen this house and she was like, oh my God, it's down there. Like he was like at a, what would you call it? Like kind of like a cove. Like he had his own like private cove. So it was like tucked away. That's what probably took us even more time, is like, it's like tucked back in like a nook. So you have to be like looking for it. We finally find the house. We park the boat. We go to bed. We wake up at like 6 p.m. that night, and we realize that our friend is like missing. We go outside and his car's gone, and we're like, oh, well, he must have just like came and got his car and went and like stayed with that girl. We're blowing up his phone. It's going straight to voicemail because obviously his phone was stolen, whatever. Literally days go by, you guys, and one of my good friends decides to, me and her decide to go to his house and like see what the fuck's going on, because like I said, he was my best friend, like my best friend, and he wasn't answering the phone or anything. So what the hell is this? Oh, divorce papers. My boyfriend's divorce papers. Period, poo. That's like a whole other story time. Anyway, my life is so fucking crazy, guys. We go to my friend's house, and his mom has literally put in a missing persons. Like, hasn't seen him in days type shit. Y'all, this kid was literally held at one of their houses for 5 days, and then they ended up just letting him loose, like letting him go, and he went to his neighbor's house, called his mom and was like, I'm at the neighbor's house, like I can't get in the house, I don't have my keys, I don't have a door key, I have no way to get in, I don't have a phone. She's like pissed, she's like, where the fuck have you been? Like, I've been terrified, and like he's explaining everything, and like we were party kids, like don't get me wrong, so she for sure thought he was lying. And he was like, Mom, my car has been stolen, my wallet's stolen, my everything's gone, like I have literally nothing on me at all. And so she fucking flies home from work, and he calls me that night and tells me everything that happened. So, moral of the story is be around people that you trust. Number one, just don't drop acid. Like, fully just don't do that. But also, like, if you are going to be so stupid as to drop acid like I was, drop it with people that you trust. Drop it with people that you know that you can, like, trust and, like, why are you beeping like that, bro? Like, people that are going to, like, full on take care of you. Like, and because, like, that could have went, he could have literally died. But anyways, the people who did that to him did go to jail, like, all the things. His car was literally taken apart at it. Like, they sold his car for, like, scraps. And this kid had, like, a badass, like, Dodge, like, Charger, like, crazy, like, and at the time, those cars had, like, literally just come out, like, where they had, like, revamped them and everything. So, like, he had a badass car, and they fucking, like, found somewhere in Maynardville, Tennessee, which is, that's a whole fucking story onto its own, being in Maynardville, and fucking sold all of the parts for it. Ended up, like, using his mom's credit card for a bunch of shit. So they had all kinds of charges, but, like, just saying, like, be safe out there, you guys. Please, if you're going to do something oh so stupid as to drop acid, don't get on a boat with people you don't really know because you're hoping to get railed or you're wanting to rail somebody, okay? Anyways, I just got home. Let me know if you want to hear the divorce papers story. I love you guys so much. Until the next time, bye.